Chris Lee with Southeastern 14 here to reflect on Florida's 24-4 walloping of LSU in Sunday's game in the College World Series. Of course, LSU won the first game, had a chance to clinch the College World Series title, but Florida made that clear around the third inning. Well, I say clear, maybe not clear. We'll get into why in just a minute. That we were probably going to go to Monday night. And this game was in some ways not a masterpiece for either team. Though you're going to think, how does Florida beat LSU by 20 runs and maybe make that claim? I'll get to that in a minute. But for LSU, my goodness, this was a disaster. LSU threw six guys. None of them threw well. Nate Ackenhausen was not able to recapture the magic of his last start, gives up three earned runs, 6 runs total in 2 1/3 innings. The LSU defense had 5 errors, and Jordan Thompson had 2 big ones. I don't know what's happened to Jordan Thompson, but it's just kind of fallen apart for him in Omaha, both at the plate and in the field. A couple of big errors. One was a ball that he threw to third where Tommy White wasn't ready to score a run. I think that was the 6th run of the third inning, maybe. Botched the double play, and another one where he just, I think, dropped the ball. And really, the third inning was the pivotal inning in this one. LSU held a 3-1 lead. Florida got 6 in the bottom of the third. And for full disclosure, I was in the car listening to the national broadcast of the game around that time. And the big blow in that inning is Ty Evans hit a home run, a grand slam that you could tell off the bat the announcers did not think was going to get out. In fact, it was a delayed call and a surprise. He's hit a grand slam kind of delivery. The ball they thought was not going to really reach the warning track in some other days in Omaha, but got help with some wind, in their opinion, to get out. Evans has had a really good postseason and hit some big home runs for the Gators. You think of Caglione and Rivera and all those guys that have just hit so many home runs for Florida. But Evans is a guy that's really come on late. And that was probably the biggest hit of the game, I think, because at that point, the game was still in the balance. Neither team was setting it on fire with the pitching. I remember we got out of the third or fourth inning, and I thought they'd made a mistake on the call. As they said, we in the fourth, and I looked at my wife. I said, my goodness, they've been playing forever. How could this only be the fourth inning? But the reason was this game, my goodness, a lot of pitches were thrown. I said it wasn't a masterpiece for Florida. Well, Hurston Waldrop, he went 2 1/3 innings and threw 83 pitches. And if you think, okay, if you're in the LSU dugout, you're thinking we're going to get Waldrop out of the game with 83 pitches after 2 1/3 innings, we're going to feel pretty good. But that's not the way it happened because LSU's pitching just collapsed. More on that in a minute. But probably the key pitcher in the game was Blake Purnell for Florida, who, frankly, was their closer, I think, maybe a year and a half ago. He hadn't pitched in so long. I think it was 29 days. I forgot he was even on the roster. He's kind of a sidearmer, just didn't have a good year and just wasn't used. But Florida went to him in that spot, and we're all kind of wondering, well, why? Kevin O'Sullivan's got better options, but Purnell, I guess, is a ground ball guy because he got 2 huge double plays to get Florida out of jams. And the offense kind of took over from there. We had a scoreless fifth, and then Florida put 5 on the board in the 6th. And that was kind of all she wrote from that point. Gavin Guidry, Bryce Collins, Blake Money, Christian Little, Sam Dutton were just all awful for LSU as Florida just kept pouring it on. Box score highlights in this one. Wyatt Langford, 5 hits, knocks in 6 runs. Evans, 3 hits, knocks in 5. You had home runs in this game from Langford. Caglione hit 2. Riopelle hit 1. Evans hit a couple. And for LSU, Braden Jobert hit 1 as well. But Florida's pitching, Purnell was probably the big thing. The Gators went to Nick Ficarata, another guy who hadn't pitched a lot of key innings lately. But that was big. He gave them 5 innings, which you want to save your bullpen. You know, Florida's got the Fishers and the Neelys and guys like that they can roll out on Monday night now because they got a big lead, and Purnell and Ficarata were able to stretch it out and give them innings and save the guys that Kevin O'Sullivan probably wants to use in a do-or-die national title situation. So Florida was able to do that. As for LSU, Gavin Guidry, a guy that I think LSU would have loved to have had for Monday night. He pitched with the game still in the balance after Ackenhusen. And it was interesting. The radio guys said that they saw that Jay Johnson must have seen something in Ackenhusen with the first hitter, the third, because they called to the bullpen pretty quickly. After that, I don't remember if that was a hit or a walk. I think he gave up 4 straight hard hit singles to start the inning, and then they went to Guidry, who wasn't great either, although it was better than Ackenhusen was. Anyway, back to Florida for just a minute. Saving the pitching, which sets up tonight. Jack Caglione is going to take the ball on Monday night for the Gators. Speculations is Skeens will get the ball on 3 days rest for LSU. LSU did throw Bryce Collins, Blake Money, Christian Little, Sam Dutton, in just kind of a throwaway situation. Little and Dutton in particular were just awful. Money's a guy that you might have seen for a hitter or two in a particular situation. He's probably not in their top 5 or 6 options, but of the guys that threw outside of Guidry and Ackenhausen, he was the one guy that threw that you're like, I could maybe see him pitching to a batter or two on Monday. Little and Dutton, you just can't trust those guys, I think, in that kind of situation, particularly Little. So anyway, that's kind of this pitching situation for Monday night. It'll be interesting to see how long Skeens goes or doesn't go. It'll be interesting to see if Caglione's got his control, because that's been an issue for him, and I think was an issue his last start out. Forgive me if I'm wrong there. It's been much better the last month and a half, and that's what happens sometimes. He's 2 years removed from Tommy John, and sometimes it just takes a while for control to come back. Feel like we've seen that a good bit this season, but it has abandoned him at times in the postseason. And so LSU, of course, a difficult lineup to pitch to. So I'll be interested to see if weather's a factor tonight, if wind's a factor tonight. Just so many variables in this game. And I think it's going to be just so interesting to watch. All right, we'll have that one wrapped up either Monday night or Tuesday morning. I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 14. We got a lot of other content coming out, including a lot of football stuff as we roll out our previews for the coming year. Best way to get everything, hit that subscribe button. If you hit the like button, that also helps our analytics. Thanks for watching us here at Southeastern 14. We'll see you again soon with more Southeastern Conference content.